Now I've said it before and I'll say it again. In the dog-eat-dog world of business, it's survival of the fittest. This is especially true in the food industry. There are a great many establishments out there duking it out for your dollar, many of they selling the same basic product. McDonald's has to compete with Burger King, Domino's has to compete with Pizza Hut, Baskin-Robbins has to compete with Ben & Jerry's.
And KFC has to compete with Red Rooster.
Wait a minute, Jarrah White? Is that you?
Just thought I'd jump in and add my 2 cents worth.
What in the blue hell is Red Rooster?
We have them down here in Australia. They're like KFC, only roasted.
I see. Is the meat really red?
No, not really. It's, regular chicken color.
Ah, gotcha. Well, anyway, back to the profile. This fierce competition isn't limited to the ones headed by huge corporations, oh no. Think about it on a grand scale. For every Chinese food restaurant, there is a Thai food restaurant. For every sushi bar, there is a noodle cart. For every steakhouse, there is a Mexican food joint. It is a battlefield, especially in food courts or shopping streets. Regardless of whether it's a multi-million-dollar chain of restaurants or a small business trying to make it big, they all have to tackle the competition head-on, literally and figuratively.
That's right in the Mac Nuggets, mate!
Ukyo Kuonji is no stranger to this. As Narima's resident Okonomiyaki chef, she's had her share of competitors. Shampoo of the Cat Cafe and Crepe King Joe are some classic examples of such, but she laying the smackdown on her competition goes back even further. As you already know, Ukio denounced her womanhood at the age of 6 after being abandoned by Genma Saotome. A mere 4 years later, her life as a martial arts okonomiyaki chef was going strong, except for one thorn in her side. Hayato Myojin, a young martial arts takoyaki chef in training. The two competed fiercely in both the kitchen and on the battlefield. Finally, it all came down to a showdown with their pride on the line. Both kids swore that if either of them lost the match, they'd forever hide their face behind a mask. Hayato swore to always wear an octopus mask if he lost, and Ukio a doll mask. The match was fought, and Ukio won, hands down. Although takoyaki make great rapid-fire projectiles, Okonomiyaki has the superior advantage in surface area. Shamed, Hayato donned his octopus mask, and for the next 6 years, his life became hell. He was seen as an outcast by all. Never could he eat his food with anything other than a straw. Never could he find a girlfriend who could look behind the mask. But worst of all, never could he scratch his nose when a mosquito flew into his mask. So serious was his devotion to his honor as a martial arts takoyaki chef that should anyone dare remove the mask from his face, he would exact vengeance by gluing a doll mask to the face of his attacker. And no, he wouldn't use super glue, but something worse. As punishment for such blasphemy, he would glue these masks on with his most powerful takoyaki batter. The only way to remove it is to stick one's face in the fire. Vowing to get vengeance and win his rematch with Ukio, Hayato trained rigorously to become the greatest martial arts takoyaki chef of all time. As is the case with martial arts takeout and martial arts okonomiyaki, the food itself is used as weaponry. Hayato's favorite patented attack is his 800 strikes of the Octopus King, in which, as the name suggests, hundreds of freshly cooked takoyaki are lobbed at Hayato's opponents. While this idea may sound silly on paper, anyone who's eaten a takoyaki immediately after it's been cooked knows how badly the batter burns the mouth. Think how horrendously it will burn on contact with the skin. Similar attacks include his wild dance of the bonito flakes, which involves even smaller projectiles which cling to Hayato's opponents and won't come off. These projectiles, although lacking in surface area, can easily bypass their way through narrow places, and therefore they have an obvious advantage over the bulkier Okonomiyaki. In the style of his rival, and the tradition of unorthodox weaponry, Hayato's weapons of choice are his oversized takoyaki pick and octopus pot. Unlike Ukio's spatula, the pick has limitations in that it can only be used for stabbing, though that hasn't stopped he from using it as a melee weapon. Through years of training, Hayato has mastered two particular attacks. By swinging the pick around, Hayato can literally knock his opponents off their feet with his Takoyaki flip! And should an opponent take their shot with an extra-large-sized Okonomiyaki, Hayato has devised the ultimate counterattack. In mid-air, Hayato pierces his opponent's projectile with his pick and spins it around into a ball. Okonomiyaki! Transform to Takoyaki! This attack is initially defensive, but ultimately serves as an offensive measure. For once the transformation is complete, Hayato sends the giant takoyaki back down at his opponents with his ultimate attack. The unfortunately named Octopus Mega Balls Drop! But, oddly enough, Hayato is not alone on his personal vendetta. He has possibly the most unlikely companion and henchman, Patashu, a little octopus. This, of course, does beg two perfectly legit questions. Firstly, how has Patashu survived this long out of water? And secondly, considering that Hayato has cooked hundreds of octopi in his lifetime, why is Patashu willing to help him? That's the wacky world of Ranma for you! Patashu is a very fast and mobile target. He defends his master by blinding the opponent with his ink. Of course, his attacks are about as effective as Pichan's, but Patashu's real talent lies in stealth and intimidation. In the style of the Godfather, Patashu stalks his master's foes, and, from right under their noses, discreetly slips them the octopus masks, letting them know Hayato is coming for them. 6 years on, Ukio found herself the recipient of Patashu's calling cards, and only when brought face to face with Hayato did she remember that fateful day. Now, the rematch is on. Hayato is determined to free himself of this masked life and exact his vengeance, for should he defeat Ukio in combat, she will be forced to forever wear the doll mask. Their flesh encapsulated in darkness, tight in the deadly grip, wrapped, twisted, entwined, smothered by the tentacles of the dreaded octopus.
This has been a Ranma 1/2 character profile. This profile was brought to you in part by JW Studios and by Shay.